Under the blazing Arizona sun of the late 1880s, the Arizona Territory stretched endlessly beneath a cloudless sky. Dry winds swept across the open plains, carrying dust through scattered mesquite trees and towering saguaro cacti. Rancher Cole Bennett spent another ordinary morning repairing broken fences after a violent storm had scattered part of his cattle. Life in the Wild West demanded strength, patience, and courage every single day. Living alone on a modest ranch far from the nearest town had taught Cole to depend only on himself. Although many settlers viewed the surrounding Apache lands with fear and suspicion, Cole believed every person deserved fairness before judgment. That belief had often made him different from the men around him. As the afternoon sun climbed higher, Cole followed the trail of a frightened calf that had wandered toward a dry riverbed several miles from the ranch. The silence of the desert suddenly felt unusual. His horse slowed as if sensing danger hidden among the rocks. Looking carefully across the sandy ground, Cole noticed faint footprints mixed with drops of dried blood leading toward a cluster of weathered boulders. Curious and cautious, he dismounted and quietly approached the area. Behind the rocks, he discovered a young Apache woman lying weakly against the stone, her clothes torn, her shoulder wounded, and exhaustion visible on her frightened face. She instinctively reached for a small knife, believing another enemy had found her. Cole slowly raised both hands to show he meant no harm. He spoke calmly, telling her he carried no hatred and only wished to help. The woman hesitated, studying the stranger's face while struggling to remain conscious. Her dark eyes reflected weeks of fear, hunger, and constant pursuit. Nearby, broken arrows and fresh horse tracks revealed that violence had recently swept through the area. Without asking questions that could wait, Cole wrapped her injured shoulder with a clean cloth from his saddlebag and offered water from his canteen. She accepted only after realizing his kindness was genuine. Knowing armed bounty hunters still searched the region, Cole understood leaving her there would almost certainly mean her death before sunrise. Carefully lifting the exhausted woman onto his horse, Cole avoided the main trails and guided the animal through hidden desert paths that few people knew existed. The journey back to his isolated ranch took several hours beneath the fading afternoon light. Every distant sound made him glance over his shoulder, expecting riders to appear at any moment. When they finally reached the ranch, he led her inside the small wooden cabin and gently placed her on the bed. Using herbs, clean water, and supplies saved for emergencies, he treated her wounds as best he could. Throughout the long evening, the mysterious stranger drifted between sleep and painful memories while Cole quietly watched over her. The following days tested both patience and trust. Cole cooked simple meals, gathered fresh water, and carefully changed the bandages covering her injured shoulder. Although the woman spoke little, her cautious expression gradually softened whenever she saw his quiet determination to help without expecting anything in return. She eventually revealed that her name was Naya, and explained only that her family had been separated during a brutal attack. Cole respected her silence and never demanded more details. Outside the ranch, rumors spread through nearby settlements that armed bounty hunters were searching for an Apache woman believed to possess valuable information, making every knock on the cabin door a possible threat. As Naya slowly regained her strength, she began helping with small chores around the ranch, despite Cole insisting she should rest. She repaired worn blankets with remarkable skill, gathered medicinal plants growing near the creek, and prepared traditional herbal remedies that eased his aching muscles after long days of work. Their conversations became longer, filled with stories about survival, family, and the harsh realities of life in the American frontier. Cole admired her courage, while Naya struggled to understand why a rancher would risk everything for someone the world considered an enemy. Every passing day deepened the respect growing quietly between them, creating a bond neither of them had expected. One peaceful evening, as the setting sun painted the Arizona sky with shades of gold and crimson, Naya stood beside the corral, watching Cole finish feeding the horses. Tears slowly filled her eyes as she remembered the countless dangers he had faced simply by protecting her. Gathering every ounce of courage within her heart, she looked directly at him and softly whispered, "Take a woman like me as your wife." Cole froze in complete surprise, unable to find the right words. Before he could answer, the distant thunder of galloping horses echoed across the valley. Dust clouds rose beyond the hills as armed riders raced toward the lonely ranch, and both realized their greatest trial had just begun. The thunder of galloping horses grew louder until a group of armed riders surrounded Cole Bennett's lonely ranch. Their leader shouted that an Apache woman was hiding inside and demanded that she be handed over immediately. Dust filled the air as the men tightened their grip on their rifles, convinced that fear would force the young rancher to surrender. Instead, Cole calmly stepped onto the front porch and stood between the riders and his cabin. His steady voice carried across the silent valley as he declared that no innocent woman would ever be taken from his home. Naya watched from the doorway, realizing that the man she had trusted was now risking his ranch, his future, and even his life to protect her. For a long moment, neither side moved, and the desert seemed to hold its breath. The leader warned Cole that anyone helping an Apache would be treated as an enemy. He promised that the ranch would be burned to the ground if the woman was not surrendered. Cole refused to step aside. He explained that Naya had committed no crime and that she deserved justice instead of hatred. His courage surprised even the armed riders who had expected him to surrender without resistance. As the tense standoff continued, the sound of more horses echoed from the western trail. Several neighboring ranchers rode into the valley after hearing rumors that trouble was coming. Although some had once distrusted Native Americans, they respected Cole's honesty and knew he would never protect a criminal. One by one, they positioned themselves beside him, making it clear that the mob would have to face them all. Seeing the growing number of determined ranchers, the bounty hunters realized that violence would only bring heavy losses. After exchanging angry glances, their leader ordered his men to retreat. The riders disappeared into the desert, leaving only drifting clouds of dust behind. Relief spread across the ranch as silence returned to the valley. Naya stepped outside with tears in her eyes, overwhelmed by the courage and loyalty she had witnessed. In the days that followed, news of Cole's fearless stand spread throughout nearby settlements and eventually reached the Apache community. Elders traveled to the ranch to thank him personally for protecting one of their own when so many others had turned away. Likewise, many settlers began questioning the prejudice they had accepted for years, realizing that kindness could achieve what hatred never could. As the weeks passed, life on the ranch slowly returned to normal. Naya became an important part of daily life, helping care for the horses, tending the vegetable garden, and sharing her knowledge of the land with neighboring families. The ranch flourished more than ever before, becoming a place where travelers were welcomed regardless of their background. One peaceful evening beneath a glowing Arizona sunset, Naya once again looked into Cole's eyes and quietly repeated the words she had spoken before danger interrupted them. This time there were no armed riders, only the gentle breeze moving through the open fields. Smiling warmly, Cole accepted her heartfelt proposal, promising that their marriage would always be built on trust, respect, and compassion instead of fear. Surrounded by friends, neighbors, and members of the Apache tribe, they were married in a simple ceremony that united two different worlds. Years later, people across the Arizona territory still remembered the remarkable story of the rancher who chose kindness over hatred and the Apache woman whose courage matched his own. Their ranch became a symbol of hope, proving that understanding could overcome generations of division. Families from different backgrounds worked together, traded together, and raised their children in peace because two brave hearts had refused to surrender to prejudice. Whenever travelers passed the old ranch, they heard the same inspiring story. that true love is never measured by wealth, appearance, or heritage, but by sacrifice, honor, and the willingness to protect what is right. Cole and Naya's journey became a timeless Wild West legend, reminding future generations that even in the harshest frontier, compassion has the power to change lives, unite communities, and leave behind a legacy that can never be forgotten.